All right, good morning, everyone. My name is John Barnes. I actually grew up in Cedar Rapids, which is about 40 minutes north of here. But although I did grow up in the Midwest, I've spent every single winter since I was about 5 years old out in the mountains snowboarding. Now, through my experience snowboarding, I've discovered that there's a huge problem for countless snowboarders, including myself. And that problem is catwalks. So depending on if you snowboard, you may or may not know that the snowboarders are notorious for having to stop in their tracks on certain parts of every single mountain across the globe. Now, these parts are flat, sometimes uphill terrain that us snowboarders like to call catwalks. Now, skiers don't really have a problem with these flat catwalks because they have two skis on their feet, two poles in their hands, so they can move wherever they want to move. Now, snowboarders, they're connected to that one snowboard. So when they come across these catwalks, which happens roughly about 3 or 4 times a day on the mountain for these snowboarders, they end up losing momentum and having to do one of a couple different annoying things just to get to the other slope. Things like unbuckling their whole board and starting to walk in the elevation in the mountain. They'll hold on to their other snowboards to kind of keep their momentum going. They'll also sometimes unbuckle one of their straps and do like an awkward shuffle to get to the other side. And a lot of times, if, by the grace of God, if they have a friend who skis, that skier is now going to tow them to the other side of these flat areas. So it's kind of a hassle for both of them. And a lot of times, snowboarders become blockades for other people on the mountain. So it can sometimes be a little hazardous. Now, this problem has created a massive opportunity for my company, Arblu, to create the first product, the Catwalk King. Now, the Catwalk King will be a telescoping ski pole that, when extended, snowboarders can use to maintain their momentum, keep their balance, and on these catwalks. And because no snowboarder actually wants to hold on to a pole all day long, the Catwalk King will be able to collapse and comfortably and conveniently be stored on your forearm or your thigh, so you don't have to worry about it the rest of the day. Now, although we don't have direct competition in this market, I am competing with other ski pole manufacturers, such as the folding, manual extending, and then just the generic ski pole. Now, where all these other options fall short is their important lack of ability to be stored on the snowboard themselves. And this is exactly what the Catwalk King will address. Now, through my customer discovery, I've been able to identify and narrow down my target market and archetype to beginner and intermediate level snowboarders. Now, these two types of snowboarders they cover almost half of the whole snowboarding market around the world. Now, how are we going to reach these snowboarders? Right now, I'm talking to a couple different retailers out in Colorado where they said they would be willing to pick up my product once it's ready for the market. I'm also creating a website where consumers will be able to buy my product directly from my company. And because these two beginners and intermediate snowboard levels are beginners, they end up getting a lot of their gear and gadgets online through social media and just on the internet. So getting my product in the hands of social media influencers and just online in general will be instrumental in acquiring these types of snowboarders. So what I'm doing right now is I'm filing for my provisional patent, getting that process started. I'm also working with industrial designers to start the prototyping process and continue that. From there, I'll get a Kickstarter rolling, getting some pre-orders and then also funding. And then from there, once I have a finished prototype, I'll send it out to snowboarders so they can test it and provide me with feedback so that I can refine the prototype. Once it's ready, I'll then send it out to the retail and direct from my website. So a little bit about the market size. Right now, we will be starting in America where there's about 7.5 million snowboarders, but the global potential is enormous. Just in Europe alone, there's a little over 21 million snowboarders, and both those numbers are rising. And what's also rising is the market worth, which is about a compounded annual growth rate of 3.8%. And by the year 2027, snowboarders will have been predicted to spend just over $372 million in this market. So just to give you a little bit more insight, the beginner and intermediate level snowboarders I was talking about earlier make up almost 2.9 million snowboarders worldwide. Now, when my company gets 5% of that market, pricing our product roughly $100, we can expect a global revenue of $114 million. So because I've been snowboarding for so long, I've not only identified this to be a problem for myself, but also countless other snowboarders worldwide. And this is why I'm so confident that through my company, Arblu, we can help snowboarders continue to push themselves forward on the mountain and not be stuck hiking in areas where they should be snowboarding. So if you want, you can add me on LinkedIn right there, and feel free to reach out to any of those channels, and I'll be sure to get back to you. Thank you. Sir.
Where are you currently in the design phase?
So I'm really early stage research and development. I'm talking to a couple of engineers and just industrial designers to get a sense of how it'll work, what it can look like, and what the engineers can do to make it actually function. So just working early stage stuff. Good question.
Hey, John, I got a question. Hopefully I'm not interrupting someone.
Oh, you're fine.
First off, loved your presentation. Great job. Best presentation you've given so far. How are you going to prevent another brand, let's say one of the ski pole companies that already has market share, from just kind of rebranding their product? And since they're already in the stores moving faster, how are you going to prevent them from doing so besides a patent?
So, yeah, that's a good question. That's why I'm talking to a bunch of different retailers right now to get my product into the market first, develop some sort of market share in the beginning before all these other companies, like the ski companies, get a wind of this and actually start making it their own, in addition to the patenting and just protecting my brand and my company.
Gotcha. Great job, John. Thank you.
Did you have a question?
Is that really you in the photo?
No, that's just the stock. I couldn't find the actual picture. I wish it was.
It looks really cool.
I don't have that cool of a photography. Yeah.
How did you arrive at a price point of $100? Seems kind of arbitrary.
Yeah, so this right now for skiers in general, like I said, there's not really direct competition, so I have to go off what it is for a lot of the ski poles. So for 2 ski poles in the skiing and snowboarding market, it runs from anywhere from $150 for the nicer stuff to like $200. And since this is a premium product for snowboarders, I estimate that it'd be around $100. Then through my customer discovery, they've been able to validate that kind of price point as well. And that's
for 2.
That's just for 1. Yep. And then from what I see from the manufacturing costs, it'll fluctuate, but for now, yeah.
And you envision a snowboarder using 1 or using 2?
Yep. So when you're on a snowboard, you're kind of like you're at a weird position. So if you were to twist and make it hard, it'll make it hard to like actually use 2 poles. So when you're using 1, you can just like slide. There's a bunch of snowboarders that kind of take their skier friends' poles, just one of them, and just use it. So that's where the idea came from. Yeah.
Does the pole also help people to get up off the ground?
Yep, that's another thing. And a lot older, my dad's snowboarder. My dad is a snowboarder, and he's brought up that point because he doesn't like bending down in the surf. It's harder for him to get up when he's sitting down on the mountain. So making something that's durable enough to be able to do that, yeah, that is the one plan.
What's your timeline for prototyping if you have one?
Good question. So I just finished my freshman year, so I'll be in school the rest of this year. So my initial plan was to have some sort of prototype by the beginning of this winter. I'm pushing that back to winter of 2023 because that will just give us more time to really narrow down on what snowboarders actually want with it. Give snowboarders time to actually test it and then define it. Yeah, thanks, Jim.
Is this something, since you do have potential competition right away for this current ones, do you have an exit strategy on where you would sell your patent to one of these companies?
Yeah, I've been thinking about licensing to other companies where I would get some sort of royalty or something from all these bigger companies putting it out. There's also a potential to actually make it a bigger snowboarding brand in the clothing market and just actual snowboarding market, because another problem right now is snowboarders don't feel like they actually have good clothes that addresses their needs. So I could get into that market or just like something.
Any other questions? Okay, I'll ask the final one. What can we as a community do for you?
Well, if you know someone who is a snowboarder or you snowboard yourself, I'd love to talk to you just about your experience on snow for the mountain or just snowboarding in general. And also if you know any engineers that are pretty experienced in the mechanical area, I'd love to talk to you about that.
Awesome.
That's it.
Good job.
Thank you.